Furious 7, also known as Fast and Furious 7, is a 2015 American action film directed by James Wan and written by Chris Morgan. It is the sequel to Fast and Furious 6, 2013, a follow-up to The Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift, 2006, and the seventh installment in the Fast and Furious franchise. The film stars an ensemble cast including Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, in his final film role, Dwayne Johnson, Michelle Rodriguez, Tyrese Gibson, Ludacris, Jordana Brewster, Jimin Hoon-soo, Kurt Russell, and Jason Statham. In the film, Dominic Toretto, Brian O'Connor, and their team are recruited by covert ops leader Mr. Nobody to prevent Mo's Joconda, Hoon-soo, a terrorist, from obtaining a hacking program known as God's Eye, all while being hunted by Deckard Shaw, the brother of Owen Shaw. Plans for a seventh installment were first announced in February 2012 when Johnson stated that production on the film would begin after the completion of Fast and Furious 6. In April 2013, Wan, predominantly known for horror films, was announced to direct the film. Casting showed the returns of Diesel and Walker that same month. Principal photography began that September in Atlanta, but was indefinitely suspended in November after Walker died in a car crash. Filming resumed in April 2014 and ended in July, with Walker's brothers Caleb and Cody standing in to complete his remaining scenes, causing delay to its 2015 release date, with other filming locations including Los Angeles, Colorado, Abu Dhabi, and Tokyo. Brian Tyler, who had composed the score for Fast 5, 2011, returned to compose the seventh installment. With an estimated production budget of up to $250 million, it is one of the most expensive films ever made. Furious 7 premiered at the TCL Chinese Theater in Los Angeles on April 1, 2015, and was released in the United States on April 3, by Universal Pictures. The film received positive reviews from critics for its action sequences and emotional tribute to Walker, with many considering it to be one of the best films in the franchise. It was a box office success, grossing $1.515 billion worldwide, making it the third highest grossing film of 2015 and the fourth highest grossing film of all time at the time of release. It also set a record for the second highest opening weekend of its time. It was the highest grossing film of 2015 internationally and became the highest grossing film of the franchise in the first 12 days of its theatrical release. A sequel titled The Fate of the Furious was released on April 14, 2017. Plot: after defeating Owen Shaw and securing pardons for their past crimes, Dominic Toretto, Brian O'Connor, and the team have returned to the US to live normal lives. Dom tries to help Letty Ortiz regain her memory, while Brian accustoms to life as a father. Meanwhile, Owen's elder brother Deckard Shaw vows revenge for the now comatose Owen. Deckard breaks into the DSS field office in LA to extract profiles of Dom's crew and fights Luke Hobbs, detonating a bomb that severely injures Hobbs. A letter bomb sent by Deckard, who has killed Han Lu in Tokyo, explodes and destroys the Toretto house. Dom learns about Deckard from Hobbs and travels to Tokyo to retrieve Han's body. At Han's funeral in LA, Dom spots Deckard and chases him by car, but Deckard flees when a covert ops team, led by government agent Mr. Nobody, arrives. Mr. Nobody tells Dom that he will help them in stopping Deckard if Dom helps him retrieve God's Eye, a computer program capable of tracking anyone in the world on a digital network, and save its creator Ramsey from Mo's Joconda, a Nigerian terrorist. The team, including Dom, Letty, Brian, Tej Parker, and Roman Pierce, airdrops their modified cars over the Caucasus Mountains in Azerbaijan and ambush Joconda's convoy, where they rescue Ramsey and leave for the Etihad Towers in Abu Dhabi. They steal the flash drive containing the God's Eye chip hidden in AW Motors' Lykan Hypersport owned by a billionaire prince. With God's Eye secure, the team uses it to track Deckard, but Deckard, having expected this, has allied with Joconda, who ambushes them. The team is forced to flee while Joconda obtains God's Eye. The team returns to LA. Dom plans to face Deckard, while Letty, Brian, Tej, and Roman resolve to protect Ramsey from Jocanda. As Jocanda uses God's Eye to doggedly pursue the team with a stealth helicopter and an aerial drone, Ramsey attempts to hack into God's Eye. Hobbs leaves the hospital and destroys the drone while Brian hijacks a signal repeater tower that allows Ramsey to remotely shut down God's Eye. Jocanda attempts to flee and spots Dom and Deckard in a street brawl atop a public parking garage. Jocanda turns on Deckard and attacks both men. Dom uses the distraction to defeat Deckard and crashes his Dodge Charger onto Jocanda's helicopter, allowing him to leave a bag of grenades on it. Hobbs shoots the grenades, killing Jocanda. Letty tearfully tells an unconscious Dom that she has regained her memories. Dom regains consciousness. Deckard is arrested by Hobbs and locked up in a blackside prison. At the end, Dom and the team acknowledge that Brian has happily retired, opting to be with his family in peace, with another baby on the way. As Dom drives and recalls his memories with Brian, the two bid each other farewell. Cast. Furious 7 marked the final film performance of Paul Walker, who died in a car crash in 2013. The film is dedicated to his memory. Main articles: List of Fast and Furious cast members and List of Fast and Furious characters. Vin Diesel as Dominic Toretto, a former criminal, professional street racer and millionaire who has retired and settled down with his wife, Letty. 6. Paul Walker as Brian O'Connor, a former LAPD police officer and FBI agent turned criminal who has retired and settled down with his wife, Mia, and their son, Jack. This was Walker's final Fast and Furious film, as well as his final film appearance. 6. Caleb and Cody Walker, Paul's younger brothers, were used as stand-ins to complete his remaining scenes following their brother's death. 7. Dwayne Johnson as Luke Hobbs, a DSS agent who allied with Dom and his team after their outings in Rio de Janeiro and Europe. 6. Johnson initially said that if Universal Pictures pursued the accelerated development of a 7th film beginning in the summer, he would be unable to participate due to scheduling conflicts with filming on Hercules, 2014. 8. However, as production for Furious 7 would commence in September, Johnson confirmed his return, for Hercules would complete production in time to enable him to shoot the film. Michelle Rodriguez as Letty Ortiz Toretto, Dom's wife and a professional street racer, who was revealed to have suffered from amnesia after being presumed dead in Fast and Furious, 2009. 6. Tyrese Gibson as Roman Pierce, a former criminal and childhood friend of Brian from Barstow, and a member of Dom's team. 6. Ludacris, credited as Chris Ludacris Bridges, as Tej Parker, a mechanic from Miami and a member of Dom's team. 6. Jordana Brewster as Mia Toretto, Dom's sister and a former member of his team who has settled down with her husband, Brian, and their son, Jack. 6. Jimin Hunsu as Mose Jocanda, a Nigerian-born mercenary and terrorist who leads a private military company that allies with Shaw, and uses God's Eye to track its creator, and uses her to track down his enemies. 6. Tony Jaa as Kiet, a member of Jocanda's team who possesses great agility, athleticism, and fighting prowess. Thai martial arts actor Jaa was confirmed to have joined the cast in August 2013, making his Hollywood debut. 9-10. Ronda Rousey as Kara, the head of security for an Abu Dhabi billionaire. Rousey's involvement was confirmed in August 2013. Having committed to The Expendables 3, 2014, at the same time, Rousey was forced to shoot both films back-to-back in order to allow herself 45 days to focus on training for her UFC championship rematch against Miesha Tate. Her participation in the film was similar to that of Gina Carano, making the transition from mixed martial arts fighting to acting, following Carano's involvement in Fast and Furious 6, 2013. 11. Natalie Emmanuel as Ramsey, a British computer hacktivist and the creator of the God's Eye, who allies with Dom and his team after being saved from Jocanda and helps them to regain control of her program. 6. Kurt Russell as Mr. Nobody, the leader of a covert ops team who agrees to help Dom stop Shaw if he can help him prevent Gioconda from obtaining a computer program called the God's Eye. Jason Statham as Deckard Shaw, a former Special Forces soldier and intelligence agent who seeks to avenge his comatose younger brother after his hospitalization at the hands of Dom and his team in Spain. John Brotherton portrays Shepard, Mr. Nobody's right-hand man. 6, 12, 13, 14 Sung Kang and Gal Gadot appear in archive footage as Han Lu and Giselle Yashar. Lucas Black reprises his role as Sean Boswell, an American street racer who lives in Tokyo whom Dom meets when he travels to Tokyo to claim the body of Han, a mutual friend of theirs killed by Shaw. In September, it was confirmed that Black had signed on to reprise his role as Boswell for Furious 7 and 2 more installments. 15-16 Elsa Pataki reprises her role as Elena Navis, a DSS agent and former Rio police officer who moved to the United States to become Hobbs' new partner at the DSS. 6 Luke Evans briefly reprises his role as Owen Shaw, Deckard's now comatose younger brother, from Fast and Furious 6, 2013, and Noel Guglielmi reprises his role as Hector for a cameo appearance from The Fast and the Furious, 2001. 17. Ali Fazal portrays Safar, a friend of Ramsey to whom she sent the God's Eye for safekeeping. Fazal described his role as a cameo. 18 Australian rapper Iggy Azalea, who also appears on the soundtrack, makes a cameo appearance as a racer at Race Wars. 19 2021 American singer/rapper T-Pain appears as himself as he DJs a party in Abu Dhabi. 22-23 Romeo Santos makes a cameo appearance as Mondo, who shelters Mia in the Dominican Republic, and Clementina appears as one of the Race Wars racers. 24. Production. Development. On October 21, 2011, the Los Angeles Times reported that Universal Studios was considering filming 2 sequels, Fast 6 and Fast 7, back-to-back with a single storyline running through both films. Both would be written by Chris Morgan and directed by Justin Lin, who had been the franchise's writer and director, respectively, since The Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift, 2006. 25 On December 20, 2011, following the release of Fast 5, 2011, Vin Diesel stated that Fast and Furious 6, 2013, would be split into 2 parts, with writing for the 2 films occurring simultaneously. On the decision, Diesel said 26. "We have to pay off this story, we have to service all of these character relationships, and when we started mapping all that out it just went beyond 110 pages. The studio said, you can't fit all that story in one damn movie." 26. However, in an interview on February 15, 2012, Dwayne Johnson stated that the 2 intended sequels would no longer be filmed simultaneously because of weather issues in filming locations, and that production on this film would only begin after the completion of Fast and Furious 6, 2013. 27. In April 2013, during the post-production of the retitled Fast and Furious 6, 2013, Lin announced that he would not return to direct the 7th film, as the studio wanted to produce the film on an accelerated schedule for release in summer 2014. This would have required Lin to begin pre-production on the sequel while performing post-production on Fast and Furious 6, 2013, which he considered would affect the quality of the final product. Despite the usual 2-year gap between the previous installments, Universal chose to pursue a sequel quicker due to having fewer reliable franchises than its competitor studios. 28 However, subsequent interviews with Lin have suggested that the 6th film was always intended to be the final installment under his direction. 29. In April 2013, Australian director James Wan, predominantly known for horror films, was announced as the sequel's director, with Neil H. Moritz and Michael Farrell returning to produce and Morgan returning to write the script, his 5th in the franchise. On April 16, 2013, Diesel announced that the sequel would be released on July 11, 2014. 30 In May 2013, Diesel said that the sequel would feature Los Angeles, Tokyo, and the Middle East as locations. 31-32. Filming. Principal photography began in early September 2013 in Atlanta, with a casting call issued. 33-34 Abu Dhabi was also a filming location. 35 The production crew chose it over Dubai, as they would benefit from the Emirates' 30% rebate scheme. 36 Pikes Peak Highway in Colorado was closed in September to film some driving sequences. 37. Spiro Rosato's returned to serve as stunt coordinator and second unit director, having previously done so for Fast 5 and Fast and Furious 6. He was joined in these duties by Jack Gill, who also worked with him on the previous two films, and Joel Kramer, who previously directed second unit for Director 1 on The Conjuring, 2013, and Death Sentence, 2007, and would later work with him again on The Conjuring 2, 2016. 38. On September 16, the production filmed with Paul Walker and the Kimsey twins, playing his son, Jack 39 in front of an Atlanta elementary school. 40 Han's funeral scene was filmed at Oakland Cemetery 41 with extras needed for the scene being hot, hip, and trendy cool types of all ethnicities between the ages of 18 and 45. 42 On the evening of September 19, Lucas Black joined the production 43 for his sole scene with Diesel, in an Atlanta parking garage. Separate scenes with Walker also shot in the same location on the same night. 44 including one half of a phone conversation between his character and Jordana Brewster's. On October 24, over a month into the film's production, Johnson tweeted he had started shooting for the film after wrapping up on Hercules. 45 5 days later, Diesel posted the first photo of Johnson on the set, in the hospital scene. 46. Death of Paul Walker. On November 30, Walker, who portrayed Brian O'Connor, died in a single vehicle accident. 47-48 The next day, Universal announced that production would continue after a delay that would allow the filmmakers to rework the film. 49 Walker's death also caused a rewrite on the film's ending, which was initially going to feature the Fast team deserving a victory lap at Neptune's net. 50 On December 4, Universal put production on hold indefinitely. 49 One later confirmed that the film had not been cancelled. 51 On December 22, Diesel announced that the film would be released on April 10, 2015. 52 On February 27, 2014, The Hollywood Reporter reported that filming would resume on April 1, and that the cast and crew had headed to Atlanta to prepare for about 8 more weeks of shooting. 53 Principal photography ended on July 10. 54. Stunts. The Lockheed C-130 Hercules 55 was used in the film to carry the vehicles that would drop from 12,000 feet high, above the Sonoran Desert, making cars plummet at a speed of about 130 to 140 miles per hour. 56-57. The airdrop sequence was conceived by Rosatos, who told Business Insider that he wanted to rely more on real stunts rather than CGI because he wanted the whole sequence to feel real and fulfill audiences' expectations. 38-58 The stunt took months of prep solving problems. Cameras needed to be mounted onto cars in a way that they would not be destroyed when the cars landed, and the crew had to figure out a safe way to get the cars out of the plane. They performed a dry run with a single car falling out of a plane 58 and did this 6 times. 38 cars were dropped from a Lockheed C-130 Hercules high above the Arizona desert, but close-up shots that show the cars landing on a mountain road were filmed in Colorado. 38 There were 2 airplanes, flying at a height of 12,000 feet, each dropping 2 cars apiece. 58 BRS parachutes enabled with GPS were secured to each of the cars before dropping off the C-130 plane. At about 5,000 feet, the parachutes deployed. 38 over 10 cameras were used for the sequence. In addition to cameras on the ground, there were cameras remotely operated inside the plane and another 3 mounted outside each car. Additional cameras were on a helicopter, where Rosatos was stationed watching monitors. 3 skydivers used in the shoot wore helmet cameras to help shoot the sequence from multiple angles. Skydivers would either jump out before cars or after them. 58 While all the cars landed on their drop zones, 70% landed perfectly and 30% did not. 38 For the close-up scenes which show the actors inside their cars, a giant gimbal with a 360-degree range of movement were attached to each of the cars and was filmed against a green screen to reproduce their tumble through the sky. 59 The last part of the scene, which shows the cars hitting the road, was shot separately. To get that right, the team set up a pulley system that had cars 6 to 10 feet above the ground. When they were dropped from the cranes, the stuntmen who were sitting in the driver's seats raced their engines at about 35 to 40 miles per hour and slid to the ground at full speed. Those cranes were then later removed from the film with computers. 3859 Rosatos claims, therefore, that the airdrop sequence was all real and that it would be hard to top. 5838 The scene featuring Brian jumping off a bus off a cliff was performed by a stuntman and was all done without any computer graphics. 60 The shooting for this particular sequence, along with the scene in which Dom and his team are pursuing to rescue Ramsey, almost did not happen due to the absence of tax break in Colorado. 60 The studio originally wanted to shoot the sequence in Georgia, which provides tax breaks for film productions, and then add woods in the background later in post-production, to which Rosatos denied, saying, "The audience is going to know it's CGI and aren't going to feel good about it." 60 Shooting finally took place in Colorado. 60 A total of 340 cars were used in the film. 59 And more than 230 cars were destroyed in the making of the film, including several black Mercedes-Benz S, a Ford Crown Victoria, and a Mitsubishi Montero. 61 The film featured the on-screen destruction of a Lykan Hypersport by W Motors, valued at $3.40 million. 62 Though the actual car destroyed was a less expensive model made for the film rather than one of the 7 actual production Hypersports. 63 The mountain highway chase scene on Colorado's Monarch Pass proved to be the most damaging sequence, with over 40 vehicles being destroyed. 64 Only 10% of the action sequences in the film were computer generated, and even then, much of the CGI was employed simply to erase the wires and other contraptions that were used to film real cars and drivers or to add a background. 59 It took more than 3,500 man-days to complete the various stunts of the film. 59 Redevelopment of Walker's character. When I first heard the news, I was shell-shocked like everyone, and it took me days to come to terms with it. And then after that, heartbreak started sinking in, and we realized that Paul Walker wasn't going to be around with us anymore moving forward, and it was a really hard one. And finishing the movie was the last thing on my mind at that point. It was more the idea of picking up the pieces, going back on set, rallying the team, the cast, and the crew, and as the director, having to put on the brave face and champion and push everyone along. The idea of that was very daunting for me, but it became very apparent to all of us that we needed to finish this movie to honor Paul's legacy and to basically honor his memories. It was about making this movie for Paul. James Wan, director of Furious 765. In January 2014, Time reported that Walker's character, Brian O'Connor, would be retired instead of killed, and that new scenes would be developed in order to allow the franchise to continue without him. 66 To recreate Walker's likeness, the filmmakers hired Peter Jackson's Weta Digital Visual Effects Company, which had previously produced the imagery of Gollum in the Lord of the Rings franchise and Caesar in the Planet of the Apes franchise. 67 Initially, what Weta could do was severely constrained by the quality of the reference materials available for Walker's physical appearance. In April 2014, it was reported that Walker's brothers Caleb and Cody had been hired as stand-ins. 68 Their strong resemblance to their late brother meant the filmmakers could use scans of their bodies instead of recreating Walker's entire body from scratch. The final film showed Walker's face superimposed over the bodies of his brothers or actor John Brotherton in 350 visual effects shots. 260 used a computer-generated face, while 90 repurposed actual footage of Walker's face borrowed from outtakes or older footage. 67, 69, 70. Visual effects and animation. Weta Digital, Digital Domain, Scanline VFX, The Moving Picture Company, MPC, and Rodeo FX provided the visual effects and animation for the film. 71, 72, 73, 74, 75. Weta Digital's major role in the visual effects production was for the reconstruction of Paul Walker's character, Brian O'Connor. Weta's visual effects house completed over 350 shots with visual effects, with a majority of the shots using repurposed footage of Walker's face. Joe Lettery and Martin Hill served as the visual effects supervisors for Weta, while Daniel Barrett served as the animation supervisor. 67-69. In an interview with Fskyed, Lettery said, "We tried to keep as true to Paul as we could, in whatever way we could." 76. Jay Barton led Digital Domain's visual effects team as the visual effects supervisor, and the studio produced over 800 shots with a team of close to 300 artists. Their staff was split between Los Angeles and Vancouver for this process. 77. John Cowley and Danielle Plantek led Scanline as the visual effects supervisors at the main studio in Munich, while Mark Curtis served as the visual effects supervisor, and Laura Schultz served as the visual effects producer, at the Moving Picture Company, MPC's Canadian studio in Vancouver. 74. MPC handled the visual effects of the film's final pursuit sequence in Los Angeles, where all of the cars were digitally recreated with computer-generated imagery for fully CGI shots, along with over 100 in-car blue screen composite shots, which were done by CGI supervisor Brian Litzen. A large portion of MPC's workforce handled the visual effects for the drone, with director James Wan saying he wanted to create an enigmatic and malevolent character that would provide a constant but elusive threat to our heroes. Inspiration for the drone were drawn by U.S. military's Global Hawk drone, an A-10 Warthog, and World War II-era Corsair and Hell divers. 74. Rodeo FX visual effects supervisor Laurent Spillemaker, visual effects producer Audrey Boivin, CGI supervisor Sebastian Francoeur, and compositing supervisor Xavier Formond handled the visual effects for two fight sequences in the film, the first being the office fight sequence between Statham and Johnson, with Rodeo using set extensions and CGI to add flying papers, fire, smoke, and explosions, while also adding in a CGI double for The Rock who's falling from the window. The CGI double for Johnson was one of many required for the sequence, and the second being the car collision sequence between Diesel and Statham. The studio produced the visual effect of the shattering of the glass coming from the colliding cars. 75. Music. Main article, Furious 7, soundtrack. The musical score was composed by Brian Tyler, who scored the third, fourth, and fifth installments of the series. 78. There's an emotional component to Fast and Furious 7 that is unique, said Tyler about his experience scoring. I think people are really going to be amazed by it. 79. A soundtrack album to the film was released by Atlantic Records on March 17, 2015 80, while Tyler's score was released by Backlot Music on March 31. When discussing the creation of the score, Tyler explained, "It was a pleasure to collaborate with James on Furious 7, as he wanted the emotion of the themes to be the primary focus. The music uses modern recording techniques, vintage modular synthesizers, mashed up beats, drums and tweaked remix elements along with classic film scoring traditions including full orchestra, piano, voice, and classical guitar. I am so proud of the movie, and I dedicate the score to the memory of Paul Walker and all the joy he brought." In describing Tyler's score, Wan remarked, "Brian's amazing score gave this movie life. He did an incredible job of crafting an electrifying score for the bombastic action moments, one that is balanced by the beautiful and emotional themes of the characters that underline the heart of this movie. 81. Songs featured in the film include Go Hard or Go Home, Wiz Khalifa and Iggy Azalea, 82 Ride Out, Kid Ink, Tyga, Whale, YG and Rich Homie Quan, 83 See You Again, Wiz Khalifa featuring Charlie Puth, My Angel, Prince Royce, Hamdulillah, Narky featuring Shady Amansur, Get Low, Dylan Francis and DJ Snake, I Vamos, J Balvin featuring Nicky Jam and French Montana, Tempest, Deftones, Mineo, Fido Blanco, and Payback, Juicy J, Kevin Gates, Future, and Sage the Gemini. Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth's See You Again, which plays over the film's ending, and itself a tribute to Paul Walker, received both popular and critical acclaim. It was shortlisted for the Song of the Year for the BBC Music Awards and was nominated for Best Original Song at the 73rd Golden Globe Awards. 84 See You Again was the best-selling song of 2015 worldwide, with combined sales and track equivalent streams of 20.9 million units according to IFPI. 85. Release. Theatrical. The film originally scheduled to be released on July 11, 2014 30, but the film was put on hold following Paul Walker's death in November 2013. 49 In October 2014, Universal revealed that the film was officially titled Furious 7. Leading up to the event, 7-second behind-the-scenes videos were released, titled 7 Seconds of 7. 86. The film was next scheduled for release on April 10, 2015 52, but it was announced that the film's release date had been brought forward a week to April 3. 87. The official announcement in change of date was made in July 2014. 87. Furious 7 premiered at the South by Southwest Film Festival at 12:07 a.m. at Austin's Paramount Theater on March 16, 2015. 88. For its global premiere at the TCL Chinese Theater in Los Angeles on April 1, IMAX Corporation installed a new laser projection, which was the first such installation in the US and the second worldwide, following The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, 2014, which opened at Scotiabank Theatre in Toronto in December 2014. 89. Home media. Furious 7 was released on July 6, 2015, in the UK and was released via DVD and Blu-ray on September 15 in other countries. The Blu-ray edition features an all-new extended edition of 140 minutes long, 90 deleted scenes, stunts, behind the scenes, and the music video for Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth's See You Again. The Blu-ray and DVD versions include behind-the-scenes footage of the race war scene, including rapper Iggy Azalea and the making of the cars featured in the film. 91. In the US and Canada, it sold roughly 2.5 million units on Blu-ray and DVD in its first week of release, making it the highest-selling home entertainment live-action film of 2015. 92. This record was later surpassed by Jurassic World, 2015, the following month. 93. Furious 7's home video sales made a revenue of $66.4 million with 4.2 million copies sold, making it the 7th best-selling title of 2015. 94. Reception. Box office. Furious 7 grossed $353 million in the United States and Canada and $1.163 billion in other countries, for a worldwide total of $1.515 billion, against a production budget of $190 to $250 million. 595. It was the third highest grossing film of 2015 and the fourth highest grossing film of all time. 96-97. Furious 7 was also the fastest film to reach the $1 billion mark at the time, doing so in 17 days. 98-99. 100. It also became the first film to pass $1 million in 4DX admissions worldwide. 101. Deadline. Hollywood calculated the film's net profit as $354 million, accounting for production budgets, marketing, talent participations, and other costs. Box office grosses and home media revenues placed it 5th on their list of most valuable blockbusters. 95. Worldwide, Furious 7 was released across 810 IMAX theaters, which was the largest worldwide rollout in IMAX's history. 102-103. Its worldwide opening of $397.6 million was the second highest opening of all time. 104-105. The film had an IMAX opening weekend total of $20.8 million. 106. North America. Predictions for the opening weekend of Furious 7 in the United States and Canada were continuously revised upwards, starting from $115 million to $150 million. 107-108. It opened on Friday, April 3, 2015, across 4,004 theaters, including 365 IMAX theaters, which made it the widest opening for the Fast and Furious film and Universal's widest opening release ever, until first surpassed by Jurassic World and Minions, 109, 110, 111, and earned $67.4 million, marking the 10th biggest opening day. 112-113. The film's Friday gross included a $15.8 million late-night run, which began at 7 p.m., from 3,069 theaters, marking Universal's highest late-night run, of which $2.2 million came from IMAX showings, marking the third largest IMAX preview gross ever. 114-115. Based on pure Friday gross, with the omission of revenues from Thursday shows, it earned $51.5 million, marking the fifth biggest of all time. 116-117. Through Sunday, April 5, it had an opening weekend total of $147.1 million. 118. This opening broke the records for the highest weekend debuts in April and for the Easter weekend, both of which were later overtaken by Avengers, Infinity War and Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, respectively. 118-119. It earned an IMAX opening weekend total of $13.3 million, marking the second biggest of all time for a 2D movie. 120-121. Premium large format comprised 8%, $11.5 million, of the total opening gross from 400 PLF screens, which is the biggest 2D PLF opening. 122. In its second weekend, the film expanded to 4,022 theaters, thereby breaking its own record of being the widest Universal Pictures release ever, and earned an estimated $59.6 million, declining by 60%, which is the third best second weekend holdover for a pre-summer film release. 123-124. It became the highest grossing film in the Fast and Furious franchise, doing so only in 10 days. The previous record, which was held by Fast and Furious 6, took 15 weeks to reach its entire lifetime gross of $238.67 million. 123-125. It also set the record for the biggest second weekend April gross. 126. Other territories. Furious 7 opened on April 1, 2015, in 12 countries, earning $16.9 million, including previews from 22 countries. 127. It opened in 33 more countries on April 2, for a total of 45 countries, earning $43 million from 8,407 screens, marking Universal Pictures' overseas highest grossing Thursday ever, and for a two-day total of $60 million. 128. It added 20 more countries on April 3, earning $59.2 million from 9,935 screens in 63 countries, for a three-day total of $120.6 million. 129-130. On April 5, it earned a four-day opening weekend total of $250.4 million from 10,683 screens in 64 countries, which is the fourth highest international opening ever, in all which it reached first place at the box office. 106, 120, 131, 132. It earned an IMAX opening weekend total of $7.5 million from 175 IMAX screens, breaking the record for the biggest April IMAX gross, previously held by Captain America, The Winter Soldier, 2014, $6.43 million. 106. It set opening weekend records in 29 countries including Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Egypt, Malaysia, Mexico, Middle East, Romania, Taiwan, Thailand, Venezuela, and Vietnam. 106. 131. In its second weekend, it held the top spot and fell gradually by 20.4% to $198.7 million, including China's opening day gross, from 18,374 screens in 66 territories as a result of minor competition, and remaining at number 1 in all 63 territories where it was released the previous week. It added 3 new countries in its second weekend: China, Russia, and Poland. 133. The film earned $167.9 million in its third weekend, which topped the box office outside of North America for 3 consecutive weekends. 134. The film was a massive box office hit in China. It opened there on April 12 and set an all-time midnight run record with $8.05 million 135 and an opening day record with $68.8 million. 133. 136. Its opening day included a record-breaking $5 million from IMAX run, also breaking Transformers: Age of Extinction's 2014 former record of $3.4 million. 133. Through its opening week, April 12 to 19, it earned $245.9 million. 134. 137. For the weekend alone, it took in $88.7 million from 5,454 screens, Friday to Sunday, and $182.4 million, Monday to Sunday, at the Chinese box office. It grossed CNY 1 billion in 5 days, the fastest time in which that has been achieved, and soon became the highest grossing foreign film ever in China. 134. 137. 138. In 15 days, its gross in China surpassed those in Canada and the United States. 139. And became the first film in China to make more than 2 billion renminbi. 140. Its success has been credited to China Film Group Corporation, the state-owned film distributor, which had invested considerably in the film, reportedly taking a 10% stake. 141. In Latin America, it became the second highest grossing film, $200 million, the first time Universal has reached the milestone and the second film in history to earn more than $200 million after The Avengers, 2012. 142. In total earnings, the largest countries outside the US and Canada are China, $391.2 million, the United Kingdom, $60 million, Mexico, $51.7 million, Brazil, $46.6 million, Germany, $42.8 million, and India, $24 million. 143. 144. 145. It grossed a total of $39 million in IMAX ticket sales in China, the biggest ever in the market. 146. Critical response. Furious 7 received positive reviews from critics for its poignant tribute to Walker. 147. The review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes reported an approval rating of 81% with an average score of 7.70/10, based on 279 reviews, the highest rated film in the franchise to date. The website's critical consensus reads, "Serving up a fresh round of over-the-top thrills while adding unexpected dramatic heft, Furious 7 keeps the franchise moving in more ways than one." 148. Metacritic, which uses a weighted average, assigned the film a score of 67 out of 100 based on 50 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. It is the highest rated Fast and Furious film on both websites. 149 audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of A on an A+ to F scale. 150. The film received highly positive reviews upon its secret screening at the South by Southwest Film Festival on March 16, 2015. Ramin Sitoode of Variety noted that fans began lining up outside 4 hours before the film was scheduled to start. The film closed with a tribute to Walker, which left many in the theater holding back tears. 151 Wesley Morris wrote, "Who would have thought that a series addicted to the high of movement could also summon a solemnity that leaves you moved?" 152. A.O. Scott of the New York Times said, "Furious 7 extends its predecessor's inclusive, stereotype-resistant ethic. Compared to almost any other large-scale, big studio enterprise, the Furious brand practices a slick, no-big-deal multiculturalism, and nods to both feminism and domestic traditionalism." 153. John DeFore of The Hollywood Reporter criticized the film, however, describing it as stupidly diverting, saying the running time was overinflated. He compared watching the film to a morbid game, in addition to criticizing the screenplay. Mark Sinclair Vincent I, born July 18, 1967, known professionally as Vin Diesel, is an American actor and filmmaker. 2. One of the world's highest-grossing actors. 3. He is best known for portraying Dominic Toretto in the Fast and Furious franchise. 4. Born in California, Diesel attended Hunter College in New York City, where studies in creative writing led him to begin screenwriting. He wrote, directed, produced, and starred in the short drama film Multifacial, 1995, and his debut feature Strays, 1997. He came to prominence in the late 1990s and first became known for appearing in Steven Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan in 1998. He followed up with commercially successful films such as Boiler Room, 2000, and The Pacifier, 2005. He gained stardom as a leading action star headlining numerous franchises, including Fast and Furious, XXX, and The Chronicles of Riddick. His voice acting work includes The Iron Giant, 1999, the video games The Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay, 2004, and The Chronicles of Riddick, Assault on Dark Athena, 2009, and the voices of Groot I and Groot 2 in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU. He portrayed the characters in 6 superhero films, beginning with Guardians of the Galaxy, 2014. Diesel has reprised his role as Groot for the Disney Plus animated short series I Am Groot, 2022-2023, the television special The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, 2022, and the animated film Ralph Breaks the Internet, 2018. He founded the production company One Race Films, where he has also served as a producer or executive producer for his star vehicles. Diesel also founded the record label Racetrack Records and video game developer Tigan Studios, providing his voice and motion capture for all of Tigan's releases. Early life. Mark Sinclair Vincent I was born on July 18, 1967. 6-7 His mother, Delora Sherleen Vincent, née Sinclair, is an astrologer. 8 He was raised by his white mother and adoptive African-American father, Irving H. Vincent, an acting instructor and theater manager. 7 9 10 Diesel has stated that he is of ambiguous ethnicity. 11. His mother has Scottish roots. 12 He has never met his biological father, and has said that all I know from my mother is that I have connections to many different cultures. 13 Diesel believes that his parents' relationship would have been illegal in parts of the United States due to anti-miscegenation laws. 14. Diesel made his stage debut at age 7 when he appeared in the children's play Dinosaur Door, written by Barbara Garson. The play was produced at Theatre for the New City in New York's Greenwich Village. His involvement in the play came about when he, his brother and some friends had broken into the Theatre for the New City space on Jane Street with the intent to vandalize it. They were confronted by the theater's artistic director, Crystal Field, who offered them roles in the upcoming show instead of calling the police. 15 16 17 Diesel remained involved with the theater throughout adolescence, going on to attend Hunter College in New York City, where studies in creative writing led him to begin screenwriting. He dropped out of Hunter to pursue acting. 18. He has identified himself as a multifaceted actor. 19. Sinclair began going by his stage name Vin Diesel while working as a bouncer at the New York nightclub Tunnel, wanting a tougher sounding name for his occupation. Vin comes from his mother's married last name Vincent, while the surname Diesel came from his friends due to his tendency to be energetic. 20. Career. 1990 to 1999, early struggle and debut. Diesel in 2005. Diesel's first film role was as an uncredited extra in the drama film Awakenings in 1990. After several years of struggle to gain acting roles, Diesel decided to make his own short film to secure funds for his feature film debut. In 1994, he wrote, directed, produced, and starred in the short drama film Multifacial, a semi-autobiographical film which follows a struggling multiracial actor stuck in the audition process. The film was selected for screening at the 1995 Cannes Film Festival. As well as acting, Vin Diesel supported himself by working as a bouncer and telemarketer selling light bulbs. 21. In 1997, Diesel secured funds to make his first feature-length film, Strays, an urban drama in which he played a gang leader whose love for a woman inspires him to try to change his ways. Written, directed, and produced by Diesel, the film was selected for competition at the 1997 Sundance Festival, leading to an MTV deal to turn it into a series which never came to fruition. Director Steven Spielberg took notice of Diesel after seeing him in Multifacial 22 and cast him in a small role as a soldier in his 1998 Oscar-winning war film Saving Private Ryan. This marked Diesel's first major Hollywood film role. In 1999, he provided the voice of the title character in the animated film The Iron Giant. 23. 2000 to 2008, Breakthrough and Setbacks. In 2000, Diesel had a supporting role in the drama thriller Boiler Room, where he appeared alongside Giovanni Ribisi and Ben Affleck. He got his breakthrough leading role as the anti-hero Riddick in the science fiction film Pitch Black later that year. Diesel attained action hero stardom with his portrayal of Dominic Toretto in the street racing action film The Fast and the Furious, 2001, and as Xander Cage in the action thriller XXX, 2002. He turned down the chance to reprise his roles in the sequels Too Fast Too Furious, 2003, and XXX, State of the Union, 2005. 24. Instead he chose to reprise his role as Riddick in The Chronicles of Riddick, 2004, which was a box office failure considering the large budget. 25. He also voiced the character in 2 spin-off video games and the anime film The Chronicles of Riddick, Dark Fury. In a departure from his previous tough guy action hero persona, in 2005, he played a light-hearted role in the action comedy film The Pacifier, which was a box office success. 26. Diesel with the Fast 5 cast and Natalie Morales for Today in 2011. In 2006, he chose a dramatic role playing real-life mobster Jack Dinocio in Find Me Guilty. Although he received critical acclaim for his performance, 27, the film did poorly at the box office, grossing only $2 million against a budget of $13 million. 28. Later that year, Diesel made a cameo appearance in The Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift, reprising his role from The Fast and the Furious. Diesel's main car, a Dodge Charger, from Fast and Furious. In 2007, Diesel was set to produce and star as Agent 47 in the film adaptation of the video game Hitman, but eventually pulled back and served as executive producer on the film instead. In 2008, he starred in the science fiction action thriller Babylon AD, which was a critical and box office failure. 2009, present, franchise films. Diesel returned to the Fast and Furious series, alongside most of the principal cast from the original 2001 film, in Fast and Furious, which was released in April 2009. Diesel reprised his role as Dominic Toretto in later installments of the Fast and Furious franchise, Fast 5, 2011, Fast and Furious 6, 2013, Furious 7, 2015, The Fate of the Furious, 2017, F9, 2021, and the most recent entry, Fast X, 2023. 2930 he reprised his role as Riddick in the third film of the Chronicles of Riddick series, simply titled Riddick, 2013. In August 2013, Diesel received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He voiced Groot in the 2014 Marvel Cinematic Universe film Guardians of the Galaxy. 31. In 2015, he starred in the supernatural action film The Last Witch Hunter. 32. In 2016, Diesel appeared as a supporting character in Ang Lee's war drama Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. In 2017, Diesel also reprised his roles as Xander Cage in Triple X, Return of Xander Cage 32 and Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. 33. Over the course of several years, Diesel has discussed playing two separate roles within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. In November 2016, director of Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn, confirmed that Diesel had been in talks to play Black Agar Boltagon/Black Bolt for the planned Inhumans film, but it was turned into a television series instead without Diesel involved. Diesel reprised his role of Groot once again in the crossover films Avengers, Infinity War, 2018, and Avengers, Endgame, 2019, which combine the superhero teams of Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers. He has said, "I think there's gonna be a moment that we're all waiting for, and whether you know it or not, you are waiting to see Groot and the Hulk get down." 39. Diesel portrayed Valiant Comics character Bloodshot in the film of the same name 40, which released in March 2020. In September 2020, Diesel announced his venture into music, with the release of the song Feel Like I Do, produced by Kygo. 41. He debuted the song on The Kelly Clarkson Show on September 24, stating, "I am blessed that on a year that I would normally be on a movie set, and as you know, that's not possible. I've had another creative outlet. Another way to show you, or share with you, my heart." 42. Diesel will star in Riddick, Furia, the fourth installment of the Chronicles of Riddick franchise, announced in February 2023. 43. Personal life. Diesel has said he prefers to maintain his privacy regarding his personal life, stating, "I'm not gonna put it out there on a magazine cover like some other actors. I come from the Harrison Ford, Marlon Brando, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino code of silence." 44. Diesel is noted for his distinctive deep voice. He said his voice broke around age 15, giving him a mature-sounding voice on the telephone. 45, which he often uses for his acting performances. Diesel is a longtime Dungeons & Dragons fan. 46, and wrote the foreword for 30 Years of Adventure, a celebration of Dungeons & Dragons, 2004. Canadian video game designer and developer Merritt K created the 2015 ASMR game Vin Diesel, making a game of D&D just for you for him. 47, 48, 49, 50. He has expressed his love for the Dominican Republic and how he relates to its multicultural facets. 51. He is acquainted with its former president, Leonel Fernandez, and appeared in one of Fernandez's earlier campaign advertisements. He later secured film production in the country for Los Bandoleros and Fast and Furious, both 2009. 52. Relationships. Sometime around 2001, Diesel dated his Fast and Furious co-star Michelle Rodriguez. 53. Since 2007, he has been in a relationship with Mexican model Paloma Jimenez. The couple have 3 children, 2 daughters born in April 2008 and March 2015, 54, 55, and a son born 2010. 56, 57. The younger daughter is named in honor of his co-star and close friend Paul Walker, who died in November 2013. 58. He is also the godfather of Walker's daughter, Meadow. Diesel also shares a close friendship with Fast and Furious co-star Tyrese Gibson. 59. Legal issues. In December 2023, former assistant Asta Jonasson sued Diesel for sexual battery and retaliation. The lawsuit alleges that, in 2010 during the filming of Fast 5 in Atlanta, he brought her to his suite at the St. Regis Hotel and forced her onto his bed. Jonasson accuses him of forcibly grabbing her and groping her breasts, and kissing her chest, and trying to pull down her underwear. She further accused him of pressing her against the wall and forcing her to touch his erect penis, and then he began to masturbate. She was fired a few days later, which she believes was retaliatory, with the suit reading, "It was clear to her that she was being fired because she was no longer useful. Vin Diesel had used her to fulfill his sexual desires and she had resisted his sexual assaults." 60. The lawsuit also names Diesel's sister and production company as defendants for allegedly creating a hostile work environment and wrongfully terminating her, among other complaints. 61. On June 3, 2025, the 4 claims against Diesel filed under California's Fair Employment and Housing Act, FEHA, were dismissed due to the plaintiff missing an administrative deadline. The remaining claims were set to move forward to a jury trial in August, but were delayed and later dropped in November. Paul William Walker, 4-1, September 12, 1973 to November 30, 2013, was an American actor. He was best known for his role as Brian O'Connor in the Fast and Furious franchise. Paul Walker began his career as a child actor in the 1980s, gaining recognition in the 1990s after appearing in the television soap opera The Young and the Restless. He received praise for his performances in the teen comedy She's All That and the comedy drama Varsity Blues, both 1999, and rose to international fame by starring in The Fast and the Furious, 2001. He also starred in the commercially successful road thriller Joyride, 2001, becoming an action star. He followed this with the box office disappointments Into the Blue, 2005, and Running Scared, 2006. However, he earned praise for his performance in the survival drama 8 Below and for his portrayal of Hank Hansen in Flags of Our Fathers, both 2006. Outside of these, Walker largely appeared in low-budget action films, but starred in the commercially successful heist film Takers, 2010. Walker died in a single-vehicle collision on November 30, 2013, as a passenger in a speeding Porsche Carrera GT. 3. His father and daughter filed separate wrongful death lawsuits against Porsche, which resulted in settlements. 4. At the time of his death, Walker had not completed filming Furious 7, 2015, it was released after rewrites and stand-ins, including his brothers Cody and Caleb, were used to complete the film, while the song See You Again by Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth was commissioned as a tribute. 5. Early life and education. Walker was born on September 12, 1973, in Glendale, California. 6. His mother, Cheryl née Crabtree, was a fashion model. 7. And his father, Paul William Walker III, was a sewer contractor and former amateur boxer who was a 2-time Golden Gloves champion. 8. 9. Walker's paternal grandfather, William, had a short-lived boxing career as Irish Billy Walker, while another raced factory cars for Ford in the 1960s. 7. Walker was raised in the Mormon religion. 8. And had 4 younger siblings, Amy, Ashley, Caleb, and Cody. He spent most of his early life in the Sunland neighborhood of Los Angeles and graduated from high school at Village Christian School in 1991. 10. 11. Walker subsequently attended several community colleges in Southern California, majoring in marine biology. 12. Career icon. This section needs additional citations for verification. Please help improve this article by adding citations to reliable sources in this section. Unsourced material may be challenged and removed. Find sources: Paul Walker, News Newspapers Book Scholar Jester, December 2022, learn how and when to remove this message. Walker began a modeling career as a toddler, starring in a television commercial for Pampers at age 2. He continued to appear in commercials, most notably for Showbiz Pizza in 1984-13 before beginning an acting career on television that year, appearing in the teen anthology series CBS School Break Special. Walker continued to work in television until 1996, across several genres. He appeared in 2 episodes of the fantasy drama Highway to Heaven between 1984 and 1986, and secured his first leading role in 1986, appearing as Jeremy Beatty in the sitcom Throb. He continued to feature on sitcoms in the early 1990s, with guest roles in Charles in Charge, Who's the Boss, and the short-lived What a Dummy. In 1993, he portrayed Brandon Collins on the soap opera The Young and the Restless. He and co-star Heather Tom, who played Victoria Newman, gained fame and were nominated for Outstanding Lead Actor and Actress in a Soap Opera at the Youth in Film Awards. Walker's final television role was Untouched by an Angel, although he appeared as himself, alongside his sister Ashley, as contestants on a 1988 episode of the game show I'm Telling, in which they finished in second place. Walker began his film career in 1986, appearing mainly in low-budget B films. His first role was in the horror comedy Monster in the Closet, and a year later, he starred in The Retaliator, retroactively subtitled Program to Kill, a science fiction film. In 1994, he returned to film, starring in Tammy and the T-Rex, but secured his first feature film role in the comedy Meet the Deedles in 1998. Although commercially and critically unsuccessful, it allowed Walker to secure supporting roles in the films Pleasantville, 1998, Varsity Blues, 1999, She's All That, 1999, and The Skulls, 2014. Walker is that guy. As a director, Walker is completely supportive of my vision of what the film is. And even better, he's completely game for it. Wayne Kramer, who directed and cast Walker in Running Scared, 2006. 15. In 2001, Walker's breakthrough role was starring opposite Vin Diesel in the action film The Fast and the Furious. It was commercially successful, and subsequently launched a media franchise. The film also established Walker as a film star and leading man, as his performance garnered the MTV Movie Award for Best On-Screen Team, shared with Diesel, in 2002. Walker starred in the critically successful thriller Joyride, 2001. Walker was originally set to play Jim Street in SWAT, 2003, and had even started training for the part, but backed out to reprise his role as Brian O'Connor in the 2003 sequel Too Fast Too Furious. 16. The role of Jim Street went to Colin Farrell. After this, he starred either in low-budget or commercially unsuccessful films for a time, notably Timeline, 2003, and Into the Blue, 2005. Picture of Fast 5 cast, from left, Dwayne Johnson, Ludacris, Jordana Brewster, Vin Diesel, and Walker with Natalie Morales for NBC's Today Show taken in April 2011. Walker portrayed Hank Hansen in Clint Eastwood's war film Flags of Our Fathers, 2006, and starred in the survival drama 8 Below, both released in 2006. 8 Below garnered critical acclaim and opened in first place at the box office, grossing over $20 million during its opening weekend. 17. In 2007, Walker debuted as a producer in the action film The Death and Life of Bobby Z, in which he also starred. He would later go on to be an executive producer in the thriller film Vehicle 19, 2013, and produce the crime comedy film Pawn Shop Chronicles, 2013. Walker then starred in the independent film The Lazarus Project, which was released on DVD on October 21, 2008. Walker in 2011. Despite initial reluctance, Walker reprised his role as Brian O'Connor after 6 years, in Fast and Furious, 2009. The film became the highest-grossing film in the franchise up until that point. 18. He then reprised his role in the 5th and 6th installments of the franchise, which were commercially successful, while his performances were praised. Walker was nominated for Choice Movie Actor, Action at the 2011 Teen Choice Awards for the former, and nominated for Choice Movie, Chemistry, with Diesel and Dwayne Johnson, and won his second MTV Movie Award for Best On-Screen Duo with Diesel for the latter. Walker also starred in the heist film Takers, 2010, 19 and returned to modeling in 2011, appearing as the face of fragrance brand Cool Water. 20 in 2012, he founded the film production company Laguna Ridge Pictures, which signed a first-look deal with Fast and Furious distributor Universal Pictures. 21. After he died in 2013, 3 films starring Walker were released: the thriller film Hours, 2013, which he also served as an executive producer, the action film Brick Mansions, 2014, itself a remake of the French film District 13, 2004. He also starred in the action film Furious 7, 2015, but died before he had wrapped up filming. It was originally set to release in 2014, but was pushed back to recreate Walker's likeness. At the time of his death, he had completed around 85% of his scenes. 22. The filmmakers hired Peter Jackson's Weta Digital Visual Effects house to complete this. 23. Using existing reference materials, Walker's brothers Caleb and Cody, as well as co-star John Brotherton, as stand-ins. 24. And outtakes or older footage. 23, 25, 26 to create an accurate remodel of Walker's face. The film was then released in 2015. 27, and Walker won the award for Choice Movie Actor, Action at the 2015 Teen Choice Awards, and was nominated for Choice Movie, Chemistry, shared with Diesel, Johnson, Michelle Rodriguez, Tyrese Gibson, and Ludacris. Brick Mansions, 2014, and Furious 7, 2015, were dedicated to Walker's memory. Walker was also set to play Dawson Cole in Nicholas Sparks's film adaptation of The Best of Me, 2014, and Agent 47 in the film adaptation Hitman, Agent 47, 2015, after wrapping up production of Furious 7, 2015, but died before both productions began. His roles went to James Marsden and Rupert Friend, respectively. 28-29. It was later revealed Walker declined the role of Superman in Superman Returns, 2006, allegedly due to the Superman curse and the celebrity associated with the role. 30. After Walker's death, the Fast and Furious franchise has paid tributes to him and his character in the movies, such as his character making an off-screen cameo appearance by driving a Nissan Skyline GTR at the end of F9, 2021, which he also drove in Fast and Furious, 2009. 31. Archive footage of Walker from Fast 5, 2011, was used in Fast X, 2023, as a flashback scene, and his character is set to return in Fast Forever, 2028. 32-33. He also posthumously received a star on Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2023. 34. Personal life. Raised in a Mormon household, Walker became a non-denominational Christian as an adult. 35. He lived in Santa Barbara with his dogs. 8:36. He and Rebecca Soteros, a childhood friend with whom he had an on and off relationship, had a daughter named Meadow Rain Walker. 37. Meadow lived with her mother in Hawaii for 13 years and, in 2011, moved to California to live with Walker. 38. Vin Diesel, Walker's close friend, is the godfather of Walker's daughter. 39-40. At the time of his death, Walker was in a relationship with Jasmine Pilchard Gosnell, whom he started dating when she was 16 and he was 33. 41-42-43. In addition to Diesel, Walker was also close friends with fellow Fast and Furious co-star Tyrese Gibson. 44-45. He held a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu under Ricardo Franjinha Miller at Paragon Jiu-Jitsu 46-47 and was awarded his black belt by Miller posthumously. 48. Walker founded the humanitarian aid nonprofit charity Reach Out Worldwide, ROWW, with financial advisor Roger Rodas in response to the 2010 Haiti earthquake. 4950 he traveled to a number of disaster-stricken areas to supply aid until his death. Walker had an interest in marine biology, and joined the board of directors of the Billfish Foundation in 2006. 51 he fulfilled a lifelong dream by starring in the National Geographic Channel series Expedition Great White, retroactively retitled Shark Man, which premiered in June 2010. 52-53 Walker spent 11 days catching and tagging 7 great white sharks off the coast of Mexico. The expedition, led by Chris Fisher, founder and CEO of Fisher Productions, and Brett McBride and Michael Domeyer of the Marine Conservation Science Institute, took measurements, gathered DNA samples, and fastened real-time satellite tags to the great white sharks to study migratory patterns, especially those associated with mating and birthing, over 5 years. 54. Walker drove a R34 Nissan Skyline GT-R V-Spec in Too Fast Too Furious. He later owned the car. A car enthusiast, Walker competed in the Redline Time Attack Racing Series in which he raced on the AE Performance team driving a BMW E92 M3. His car was sponsored by Etnies, Brembo, Öhlins, Vogue, OS Chicken, Hankook, Gintoni and Reach Out Worldwide. 55 Walker had been preparing for an auto show prior to his death. 56 Walker owned Always Evolving, a Valencia high-end vehicle performance shop, where Rodas, a Pro-Am racer 57-58 acted as CEO. 59 Walker had a large collection of about 30 cars, a portion of which he co-owned along with Rodas. 60 In January 2020, 21 vehicles owned by Walker were sold for a combined $2.33 million during spirited bidding at an annual car auction in Arizona. 61. Death. The site of Walker's death on Hercules Street in Santa Clarita, 2015. On November 30, 2013, at about 3:30 p.m. PST, Walker, 40, and Roger Rodas, 38, left an event for Walker's charity Reach Out Worldwide for victims of Typhoon Haiyan 62 with Rodas driving his red 2005 Porsche Carrera GT. 63 traveling between 80 miles per hour 130 kilometers per hour and 93 miles per hour 150 kilometers per hour in a 45 miles per hour 72 kilometers per hour speed zone on Hercules Street in Valencia, a neighborhood of Santa Clarita, California. Rodas lost control of the car, which crashed into a concrete lamppost and 2 trees off the road, catching fire within seconds after impact. 62-64 According to forensic evidence gathered from the scene, both men were knocked out by the impact. Rodas died instantly from multiple physical traumas, while Walker died within seconds from the combined effects of physical trauma and burns. Both of their bodies were burned beyond recognition. 63. The curve where Walker and Rodas died is a popular spot for drifting cars. 65 No alcohol or other drugs were found in either man's system. 66 And neither mechanical failure nor road conditions appeared to play a role. 67 Police found no evidence of drag racing. 68 The investigation concluded that the car's speed and age of the tires were the primary reasons for the crash. 69 Grave of Paul Walker at Forest Lawn, Hollywood Hills. With Furious 7 in the middle of filming at the time of Walker's death, Universal announced an indeterminate hiatus on the production, citing a desire to speak with his family before determining what to do with the film. 70. Numerous friends and movie stars posted tributes to Walker on social media. 71 His remains were cremated and his ashes were buried in a non-denominational ceremony at Forest Lawn Memorial Park. 72 His life was later chronicled in the documentary I Am Paul Walker, which was released on August 11, 2018. 73. Lawsuits. In December 2014, Walker's father filed a wrongful death claim against Rodas's estate, seeking the return of a proportionate share of revenue generated by a group of automobiles that were jointly owned by both Walker and Rodas. 74 Walker's daughter received a $10.1 million settlement in 2016. 75. In September 2015, Walker's daughter filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Porsche, claiming that the Porsche Carrera GT had numerous design defects, including a history of instability, and that its seat belt placement could cause harm upon impact. 76 Porsche denied any wrongdoing and blamed Walker, stating, "The perils, risk, and danger were open and obvious and known to him, and he chose to conduct himself in a manner to expose himself to such perils, dangers, and risks, thus assuming all the risks involved in using the vehicle." 77. Walker's father and daughter both reached separate out-of-court settlements with Porsche. 78. In April 2016, U.S. District Court Judge Philip S. Gutierrez ruled in favor of Porsche in a separate lawsuit filed by Rodas's widow Christine. Mate Michelle Rodriguez, born July 12, 1978, is an American actress. She began her career in 2000, playing a troubled boxer in the independent sports drama film Girl Fight, 2000, where she won the Independent Spirit Award and Gotham Award for Best Debut Performance. 1-2 Rodriguez played Letty Ortiz in the Fast and Furious franchise, 2001, 2009, present, and Rain Ocampo in the Resident Evil franchise, 2002, 2012. She has starred in the crime thriller SWAT. 2003, James Cameron's science fiction epic Avatar, 2009, and in the action film Battle, Los Angeles, 2011. After playing Minerva Mirabal in the biopic Tropico de Sangre, 2010, Rodriguez headlined the exploitation films Machete, 2010, and Machete Kills, 2013, and starred in the animated comedy films Turbo, 2013, and Smurfs, The Lost Village, 2017, while her performance in the heist film Widows, 2018, was critically praised. 3. Outside of film, Rodriguez played Ana Lucia Cortez in the drama television series Lost, 2005 to 2006, 2009 to 2010, and voiced Liz Recaro in the English-language translation of the anime Immortal Grand Prix, 2005 to 2006. She reprised her roles in video game spin-offs of Avatar and Fast and Furious, and also appeared in True Crime, Streets of LA, 2003, Driver 3, 2004, Halo 2, 2004, and Call of Duty, Black Ops 2, 2012. Early life. Mate Michelle Rodriguez IV was born on July 12, 1978 5 in San Antonio, Texas. 6. Her mother, Carmen Milady Rodriguez, née Pierd Espinal, Camine is Dominican, while her father, Rafael Rodriguez, was Puerto Rican and served in the U.S. Army. 7. 8. Rodriguez moved to the Dominican Republic with her mother when she was 8 years old, and lived there until age 11. Later, she moved to Puerto Rico until the age of 17, and finally settled in Jersey City, New Jersey. She dropped out of William L. Dickinson High School, but later earned her GED. 9. In total, she was expelled from 5 schools. 10. She briefly attended business school before quitting to pursue a career in acting, with the ultimate goal of becoming a screenwriter and director. 11. Rodriguez has 10 siblings and half-siblings. She was partly raised by her devoutly religious maternal grandmother, and was brought up as a Jehovah's Witness, her mother's religion, although she has since abandoned the faith. 12. 13. A DNA test of Rodriguez, performed by the television program Finding Your Roots, found that her ancestry is 72.4% European, 21.3% African, and 6.3% Native American. She stated on the show that there was some racial conflict between her families, since her Puerto Rican father had a light complexion as opposed to her darker-skinned Dominican mother. 14. Career. Film and television. Rodriguez at the New York Fashion Week in 2006. Having run across an ad for an open casting call and attending her first audition, Rodriguez beat 350 other applicants to win her first role in the low-budget 2000 independent film Girl Fight. With her performance as Diana Guzman, a troubled teen who decides to channel her aggression by training to become a boxer. 15 Rodriguez accumulated several awards and nominations for the role in independent circles, including major acting accolades from the National Board of Review, Deauville Film Festival, 16 Independent Spirit Awards, 2 Gotham Awards, 1 Las Vegas Film Critics Sierra Awards, and many others. The film itself took home a top prize at the Sundance 17 and 1 award of the Youth at the Cannes Film Festival. Rodriguez has had notable roles in other successful films, including Letty in The Fast and the Furious, 2001, and Rain Ocampo in Resident Evil, 2002. She appeared in Blue Crush and SWAT. 18 In 2004, Rodriguez lent her voice to the video game Halo 2, playing a Marine. 19 She provided the voice of Liz Recaro in the Cartoon Network series Immortal Grand Prix. 20 From 2005 to 2006, she played tough cop Ana Lucia Cortez. 21 On the television series Lost. During the show's second season, the character's first appearance was a flashback during the first season's finale, Exodus, Part 1, and returned for a cameo in the second episode of the show's fifth season, The Lie, in 2009. She returned again in the penultimate episode of the series, What They Died For, in 2010. In 2006, Rodriguez appeared in her own episode of G4's show Icons. 22. Rodriguez in December 2009. In 2007, Rodriguez appeared in the political drama Battle in Seattle opposite Charlize Theron and Woody Harrelson. 23. In 2009, she appeared in Fast and Furious, the fourth installment of the Fast and the Furious film series. 24-25 Later that year, Rodriguez starred in James Cameron's science fiction adventure epic Avatar, which became the highest-grossing film in history and Rodriguez's most successful film to date. In 2009, Rodriguez starred in Trópico de Sangre, an independent film based on the Dominican Republic's historic Mirabal sisters. 26-27. From left to right, Rodriguez, Jonathan Lee Bessman and Aaron Eckhart at the 2010 San Diego Comic-Con. In 2010, Rodriguez appeared in Robert Rodriguez's Machete. 28. In 2011, she appeared with Aaron Eckhart in the science fiction film Battle, Los Angeles. In 2012, she returned to play the good clone and bad clone of Rain Ocampo in Resident Evil, Retribution. In 2013, she reprised her roles as Letty in Fast and Furious 6 and Lou/She in the Robert Rodriguez sequel Machete Kills. She also voiced a character in DreamWorks Animation's Turbo. 29. In 2015, she appeared in Furious 7. 30. In 2016 she starred in The Assignment alongside Sigourney Weaver. In 2017, she lent her voice to Smurfs, The Lost Village. She starred in The Fate of the Furious, which broke records for the largest global box office opening of all time. 31. In 2018, she starred opposite Viola Davis in Widows from director Steve McQueen, and in 2019 reunited with director James Cameron on the film Alita, Battle Angel. 32-33 Rodriguez started Cheshire Cat Productions, a production company that produced the documentary Stunt Women, The Untold Hollywood Story, 2019. 34. Screenwriting. As of 2013, Rodriguez stated she was working on several projects, including a family adventure film, a drug drama, and a female-oriented period piece. 35. Personal life. Rodriguez at San Diego Comic-Con in 2013. Rodriguez's hobbies include tactical gun training 36, skydiving 37 and DJing. 38. In early 2000, Rodriguez broke off an engagement to a Muslim boyfriend, citing opposition to religious requests he made of her. 39-40 In 2001, she reportedly dated her Fast and Furious co-star Vin Diesel. 41. In late 2010, Rodriguez trained with Sea Shepherd to join the direct action activism of the Marine Conservation Organization during Operation No Compromise. 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47. In 2013, Entertainment Weekly quoted her as saying, "I've gone both ways. I do as I please. I am too curious to sit here and not try when I can. Men are intriguing. So are chicks." 3. As she explained to Latina magazine, "I'm getting older. Eventually it's going to wrinkle up and I'm not going to be able to use it. I wanted to be honest about who I am and see what happens." 48. The following year, she said in an interview that she hoped her actions would help others in a similar situation, maybe by me opening my big fat mouth like I usually do and stepping up and owning who I am, maybe it might inspire somebody else to do the same. 49. She described herself as bisexual in another interview later that month. Yeah, I fall under the B category of LGBT. Regarding the lack of unconventional female roles available in films, she said, "What's wrong with being bi? I mean, we're getting flack everywhere we go." 50. Legal issues. In March 2002, Rodriguez was arrested for assault after getting into a fight with her roommate. The charges were later dropped after the roommate declined to press the allegations in court. 51. In November 2003, Rodriguez went to court to face 8 misdemeanor charges based on 2 driving incidents, including a hit and run and driving under the influence, DUI. 52. In June 2004, Rodriguez pleaded no contest in Los Angeles to 3 of the charges: hit and run, drunken driving, and driving with a suspended license. 53. She went to jail for 48 hours, performed community service at the morgues of 2 New York hospitals, completed a 3-month alcohol program, and was placed on probation for 3 years. 54. In 2005, while filming Lost in Hawaii, Rodriguez was pulled over by Honolulu police multiple times for speeding violations, and on December 1 was arrested for DUI. 55-56. In April 2006, she pleaded guilty to 1 charge of driving under the influence, and chose to pay a $500 fine and spend 5 days in jail. 53. Rodriguez cited her high doses of allergy-relieving steroids as one of the reasons for her erratic behavior. 57. Because the incident was a violation of her Los Angeles probation, she was sentenced to 60 days in jail, a 30-day alcohol rehabilitation program, and another 30 days of community service, including work for Mothers Against Drunk Driving. 58. Because of overcrowding, she was released from jail on the same day she entered. 59. In September 2007, Rodriguez allegedly violated her probation by neither completing her community service nor following an alcohol education program. 60. On October 10, 2007, following a hearing, she was sentenced to 180 days jail time after agreeing to admit to violating her probation. She was expected to spend a full 180-day term in jail but was released 18 days later due to overcrowding. 59. In January